Hello there and welcome back to another video. We're going to be talking about Liverpool versus Spurs at the weekend. I know it's a little bit early in the week, but might as well get it over and done with. And we can address a couple of other things as well in this video as well. First of all, I hope you guys are doing very well. Hope you're doing much better than I am. Hopefully, we're starting to see the back end of this illness because this is kicking my arse left, right and centre. I haven't felt this ill since I had COVID. Thankfully, this isn't COVID this time. But oh my god, it's horrific. It really is horrific, and I'm just hoping my eyes sort themselves out as well. But hey, I hope you guys are doing very, very well, taking care of yourselves and having a good day, having a good week. Now, before we get into Liverpool versus Spurs, we now know our opponents for the Champions League final. On the 28th of May, Liverpool will be facing Real Madrid in Paris after, I have to say, a comeback that I didn't see happening. I'm going to be totally honest with you. I was watching it last night because I couldn't sleep. I'm really struggling with sleep at the moment. I'm not the best sleeper of all time anyway. And then obviously I've got this illness of wherever it's come from, and I'm struggling to sleep anyway. When Riyad Mahrez scored for Man City last night, I turned the game off and just thought, well, that's going to be it. We're going to be facing Man City. Tough game, you know, is what it is. And then something flashed up on my something went off on my phone. Obviously, you know, as it is with everybody, most likely I have notifications on for. I have notifications on for pretty much every major league, and certain specific teams as well. And notification went off saying Real Madrid 1-1. I was like, all right, well, you know what, a 90th minute goal, fair play, is what it is. Obviously, by this point, I didn't know what sort of extra time or additional time, like injury time, that's what I'm looking for. I didn't know what injury time that was going to be on in that game. Turns out it was 6 minutes, but I didn't know it at the time. And when it said 1-1, I was like, all right, fair play, whatever. And then literally about maybe 30 seconds later to a minute later, on my phone anyway, it just went bang, 2-1 Madrid. And I was like, what? So in the slow connections in my head at the moment, as they are, I then put it together that, hang on, that makes it 5-5. I was like, what? Fired up my BT app on my iPad just while I'm lying in bed. I'm just like lying in bed and just feeling sorry for myself at the moment these days, as it is, as we tend to do when we're not feeling well. And yeah, so I was just like, what? Okay, cool. Rewound back to see the actual structures of play that had happened. And then I started to clock the substitutions that Man City had made as well. Obviously, Kevin De Bruyne had gone off. Mahrez has gone, I can't remember if he'd gone off or he was going off at some point. Gabriel Jesus is going off as well. And it's like, you're taking all these attacking players off as if it's job done. And Real Madrid just turn around and say, job ain't done yet. And then Real Madrid get a penalty. You know, and a deserved penalty, it has to be said. But, you know, they are streetwise as well. But it was a penalty. Score the penalty. And then it's basically just a game of Real Madrid not necessarily sitting back, but whenever they got the ball, boot it. Just boot it. As far as you can, just boot it. Get it out. Like, if we can counter or something like that, then we will. But nah, just boot it. Just get it out. Boot it for the next 15 minutes. Whatever you have to do. And that's what they did. They took it away from Man City. And I couldn't believe it. I genuinely couldn't believe it. That I was fully set in my mind that, like, it was going to be after Mahrez scored. It was going to, and what a goal by Mahrez, I have to say. Didn't play well for most of the game, but scored a really good, important goal, or what should have been an important goal for them. And so in my mind, I was fully set for Liverpool v Man City in the Champions League final, which is kind of what I didn't want, but it is what it is. Real Madrid are just this entity with the Champions League and the European Cup, where, you know, whether it's historical or what, I don't know. A lot of people turn around saying it's like, man, this is destined to be Real Madrid's year. They've got basically their hands on it already. I disagree with that. But I think, as ridiculous as it might sound, that Real Madrid will be a much tougher prospect for Liverpool. Because I do believe that we will be able to score goals against Real Madrid. I think from the last time that we played them, obviously last time we played them in a final, we had Karius in goal. Yeah, let's forget about that one for a second. Different entity now, different team now as well. Some players that were still there, obviously, hopefully, That, you know, there is no Sergio Ramos. So hopefully there won't be an injured Salah in this game either. And then when we played them in the Champions League, when we had all of our injuries and such like that, I remember the second leg was a 0-0 shutout, but we played much better. I do believe that we can go out there and score goals, but this Real Madrid team just don't know when they're done. They don't know when they're beat. And they have the ability to come back out of nowhere, which is exactly what happened against Man City last night, from what I saw. You know, and I'm not reveling in the defeat of Manchester City, obviously, like Man United fans are at the moment. But like it hits home how much of not a stranglehold, but the experience and the winners that Real Madrid have in that team. When you look at how many years those players have played together and how much they've won together as well, it's incredible. When you look at that midfield, and you could probably go back maybe 5 or 8 years, whatever it might be, and it could still be the same midfield. When you've still got Modric, Kroos, Casemiro, like that's a hell of a midfield, and they're still performing at a high level, and they've still got players that can now come in that are quality players like Camavinga. Hell of a performance when he came on as well. Karim Benzema, obviously, like what he's doing up front is incredible. And you're looking at these players, I think Modric, 37, Benzema, 34. Yeah, Casemiro, I actually don't know what his age is. And the same with Toni Kroos. I don't know what their ages are, but they've been playing at a high level for a long, long time and won things along the way. So I just want to talk about that for a little bit. How am I feeling about it? Look, what I realised this morning is that I'm actually going to a gig on the 28th of May, and I didn't even think about when the Champions League final was. I'm used to it being in like June or something, like maybe like early, like the start of June. So there's a good chance I'm gonna miss it. Like I'm not gonna be able to watch it, and I'm gonna have to do something. Like I'm gonna have to figure out something. Like this gig that I'm going to, I've been wanting to go for it for years. Like I'm talking like over 10 years. Like I've missed this band. If anyone's interested, I'm going to see Meshuggah. I've never seen them live before. And I was meant to see them live in 2009 and I couldn't go. Like I have been waiting to see this band for a long, long time. However, we've got a Champions League final. Like I genuinely almost don't know what to do. So, I'll figure something out, I'm sure. But anyway, let's get into the preview for Liverpool versus Tottenham. Now, this is a huge game for us. Playing at Anfield, obviously, which is great. It's fantastic. Hopefully gives us a little bit of a leg up. But I do worry about this Tottenham team. And this is what I was talking about and I've talked about repeatedly, about the running for us and why this would be one of our most difficult games. It's an Antonio Conte team that is pushing now and pushing hard for a Champions League spot that Arsenal believe that they've already got. Like, it's the one thing that you do have to say about online. I say online Arsenal fans because there are Arsenal fans I know personally that aren't all like, you know, oh, we're in the Champions League, and they're posting like the Champions League theme and all that sort of stuff already. And there's still 4 games to go. And in my opinion, this Tottenham team over the Arsenal team is stronger just overall, I believe. And I truly do obviously fear probably more Heung-min Son than Harry Kane, but the combination of the two as well. And then you've got Kulusevski as well, who's come in this season and quietly seems to have hit the ground running. And when I say quietly, I don't mean like he's like under the radar, but he's sort of a signing that just didn't really scream a lot about like, oh my God, look at this. It wasn't like when Liverpool went and signed Luis Diaz and everyone was like, whoa, or maybe we were, maybe everyone else wasn't. But since he's come in, he's obviously been a revelation for us and really helped us against Villarreal the other night as well. Tottenham just look, well, I want to actually just, before I say anything further, I want to actually look at their most recent games, or their run of games. Most recently, they had been on a run of games where they'd won 4 in a row and then they'd lost. So their wins came against Brighton, they won 2-0. West Ham, they won 3-1. Newcastle United, they beat 5-1 as well. Aston Villa, they beat them 4-0. And then against Brighton, again, they lost 1-0. They drew to Brentford, and then they most recently, on the 1st of May, they had beaten Leicester 3-1. It's a bit of a mixed bag. Before that, they'd lost to Manchester United 3-2, but then also they'd beaten Everton 5-0. Like, it's a bit of a mixed bag, but they find themselves in a very real prospect of being able to get a top 4 space. They are going to be coming for it like hell on earth, I believe. They're not in any other there's no other competitions for them to play in apart from the Premier League now. So they literally have 4 games for the rest of their season. So they're going to be coming for us very, very hard. And I want to look at their most recent game against Leicester just to have a look at what their lineup was. Now, if they go with this type of lineup, then that could be quite interesting. Apparently, now this is according to SofaScore as well, they lined up in what was a 3-4-3. The back 3, goalkeeper was Hugo Lloris, but the back 3 was Christian Romero, who's also done very well for them this season, Eric Dyer and Ben Davies, and that was as your back 3. Then it was Ryan Sessegnon on the left-hand side, a bit further up, Emerson Royal on the right-hand side, who has come in for a lot of criticism earlier on in the season, but seems to be improving of late. In that midfield, it was Højbjerg and Bentancur as well. I forgot about Bentancur, came from Juventus as well. It was Harry Kane, Heung-min Son on the left, and Lucas Moura on the right-hand side. Now, I wonder the substitutions that they made. Kulusevski came on for Lucas, which makes sense. Harry Winks came on for Bentancur late on, and Steven Bergwijn came on for Heung-min Son as well. Look, these guys are no slouches. They've actually got a pretty decent bench as well when you look at it. Take away how they performed maybe last season and stuff like that. It's not relevant. The only thing that's relevant right now is how they're performing with the players that they've got. When you look at the likes of having Davinson Sanchez on the bench, Kulusevski started on the bench, Harry Winks, regardless of whatever you think of these players, that they're strong enough to be able to start these players on the bench. Steven Bergwijn, dangerous player as well. They've got dangerous players on the bench. They've got dangerous players in the starting 11 as well. And the 3-4-3 can be quite interesting. It depends whether they go, and I might just actually just go and have a quick look and see if they've started with that type of lineup in consecutive games, which they did against Brentford, and then what about against Brighton? Same against Brighton as well. So we may be seeing the Antonio Conte 3-4-3 that we did obviously see when he was manager of Chelsea. He went to, I think he got beat by Arsenal 3-0 when he was Chelsea manager, and he went to a 3-4-3, and then they went on and won the league. Set a record at that time for 30 wins in a season to win the title. It's gonna be dangerous. We need to be. Look, I always say we need to be careful with our high line. By saying that, we know we're going to be playing the high line regardless. Doesn't matter like who we play against. We play against Real Madrid, Man City, we play against Tottenham, we play against Brentford. You play against MK Dons, Liverpool are going to be playing a high line. Doesn't really matter. The only thing that will matter is the players that actually play in it as well. So obviously we'll be looking at the lineup with, Alisson will most likely be there as goalkeeper, and I don't see why not. He's fantastic. Our #1 goalkeeper for a reason. You could see Trent Alexander-Arnold. You could see Joe Gomez. I don't know which way it could go. Joe Gomez, when he plays at right back, doesn't seem to play badly at all. It maybe gives you a little bit more defensively, whereas Trent gives you that options, obviously, offensively. More than defensively as well. So it depends what Klopp decides to go with. And then you've obviously got the decisions between Konate and Joel Matip as well. I would err on the side of possibly Konate. Nothing against Joel Matip at all, but it's just Konate's got that recovery pace. And along with Virgil van Dijk as well, both of them having recovery pace, whereas Matip is a great defender. He's a fantastic defender and doesn't get caught out a lot. But when you're coming up against the forwards of Harry Kane, Heung-min Son, and in my opinion, what will be Kulusevski, if he's fit and ready to... Because if he was on the bench in the most recent game, then he must be fit enough to start in a game coming up. And has been one of their most productive players in that front line alongside Harry Kane and Heung-min Son. Then we could be looking for Konate to get in there as well. But hey, whichever ones we go for, I don't really mind. I think for me, I would be looking at a Trent, Konate, Virgil van Dijk and Andy Robertson back line. Into the midfield has to be Fabinho and Thiago at least, and then whoever else is in there, I don't really mind. I think I would actually go with Jordan Henderson in there as the third man in midfield, just because I want my captain in there. I want that leadership in there as well. And it's nothing against Naby Keita and how he played against Villarreal, you know, in that first half. That whole team in the first half against Villarreal could have been subbed off, and I don't think anyone would have really had any questions about it. But I think it's purely, I want that leadership of Jordan Henderson in there. And if it's not Henderson, then I think it'd be Milner. And whether people like it or not, that's just what I'm going with. So, and then it's into the front three. And I think the front three, I think you could still be looking at, you know, Bobby Firmino is apparently in contention to be able to feature. I think he'd be more looking to feature from the bench, having just, you know, hopefully, he's taken his first steps into training, I think maybe running as well on grass. So having someone like Firmino available is great. It's great to have that option, but I don't think he should be starting this game. I think this, and whether it's Jota, Mane and Salah, or whether it's Luis Diaz, Mane and Salah, or whichever combination you want to go with, I think I want to see Sadio Mane down the middle. Mane down the middle, it just brings something different to the team. Different focal point, different energy, different runs as well. And when you've got someone like Luis Diaz, honestly, the breadth of options that we have in attack now make it really difficult to turn around and say, let's start Luis Diaz on the bench. And it's not because of his most recent performance against Villarreal, which it really did help us turn that game, and he was probably the catalyst for it as well. But the man is an absolute dynamo, and he's so dynamic. He will cause a nightmare for any defence in the world. And then when you can put like Mane through the middle, or Jota through the middle, and Salah as well, whichever way you want to go with it, there's so many options that we can go with that, in my mind, while I'm talking about it now, I would be looking at Salah on the right-hand side, and I'd be looking at Luis Diaz on the left-hand side. And then I think based on form, it has to be Mane through the middle, with Jota on the bench, with Firmino as well. And anyone who starts on the bench, there is no knocking them. And what I mean by that is, they haven't done anything bad, in my opinion, to be on the bench. It is just that, at the moment, our strength in depth is at a point that I've not really seen Liverpool have for, I'm going to say, in my lifetime. Like, we are at a point where we're struggling to find places for players because the strength in depth and the quality of football that these players are producing is of such a high level that we are having to maybe go, listen, we're going to start you this week and you're going to be on the bench, but then next week when we come up against such and such, you'll be playing in this one, and we're going to do a little bit of rotation here or there, whatever it might be. Or do you change what is a winning team? These are the questions that obviously Jurgen Klopp will be answering at some point. But I also believe that the starting 11 that I would go through, which would be Alisson, Trent, Konate, Virgil van Dijk, Andy Robertson, Fabinho, Thiago, Jordan Henderson, Salah, Mane and Luis Diaz, I think that that is enough, more than enough, to get a good result out of Tottenham. But it is also going to be required, I believe, because this Tottenham team, like I said before, they're going to be coming at us really, really hard, because they are wanting top four so badly, and they really want to get it over Arsenal as well. You know, there is that little glimmer of whether Chelsea keep going like down a little bit, of where you could have Arsenal and Tottenham in top four and Chelsea slip out into fifth. I don't think that's going to happen. I think it's that fourth spot that these two teams are going to have to fight for. And I think that Conte, he's a very good manager, and he's a difficult manager to prepare for as well. The 3-4-3 can be difficult to play against. You know, we played against it a couple of times when Chelsea played it with Tuchel as well. And it can be really difficult to control as well. And that's where the questions do come up about, is Trent going to be better suited to play in this game, or is it going to be Joe Gomez as your right back? I don't know. I don't know. I'm just going with Trent because I want that attacking force as well. Is that the right option? Who knows? Who knows? But that would be who I would start against Tottenham. And then it's purely just about, you know, can we get the result? And let's make no mistake, regardless of whether of the manner of how Manchester City lost against Real Madrid, we need to go out there and win our game and do what we can for the Premier League. Because people are looking at it and saying, Man City, oh, this could really change their mentality, really affect their mentality. And it could. It absolutely could. You know, you see the effect of when Tottenham, and I'm just saying it now, not because we're coming up against Tottenham right now. It's a different situation back then. But when Tottenham lost the Champions League final to us, to Liverpool, you saw how that affected their season. We went on the next season to go and win the Premier League, whereas they ended up having to sack their manager, bringing Jose Mourinho in, and I can't even remember where they finished that season, like 8th or something like that. The fall-off was incredible. The hangover from it was incredible. You don't know how these things... But then there's probably going to be instances of teams getting beaten in such a manner, like Man City were against Real Madrid, where they've actually bounced back. And they're going to be coming up against Newcastle at the weekend. Newcastle aren't like a Chelsea. They're not a Liverpool. They're not a whoever else, an Arsenal or Tottenham. Newcastle are doing well, but it's going to be difficult for Newcastle to get a result against Man City. We can't be relying on that. It's not. We just have to go out there, do our jobs, and the players do their jobs, obviously, and get the result against Tottenham and see where we are at the end of the weekend. I think that this is going to be a really hard game. I think this is going to be like back and forth. I've got a feeling in my mind that Tottenham are going to score first, and we will have to come back. I think that this is going to be 2-1 to Liverpool in a really, really, really tight game, but we have to win. We absolutely have to win. If we even draw this game, title race is over, in my opinion. Title race is done if we draw, because then the incentive goes to Man City, and they play on the Sunday, we play on the Saturday. It's just, and we play at 8:15 on a Saturday. Really? Do we have to? Why? Like, you know, why? You know, look, it is what it is. But yeah, I think that we will. I think that we will get the win, but nothing's ever guaranteed. So I'll just leave it there for now. This has been a long enough video. Obviously, I was talking about the Champions League earlier on in this video. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments below. What do you think about this game coming up? How are you worried about any aspects in particular about Tottenham? And do you also think that Liverpool can get the win? Or, without it wanting to be a pun against Liverpool, do you think this will be a banana skin where we slip up? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Thank you ever so much for watching this video. If you have enjoyed it, please do feel free to hit that like button and subscribe if you're new around here. Thank you once again. Do take care of yourselves. Have a wonderful rest of the day. And I'll catch you later.